Hi everybody. My hair's kind of poofy over all my bangs. How are you doing today? My name is Kelly and I run sheepdreamery.com where I sell hand-dyed yarn. Hopefully someday I'll sell hand-dyed fiber, but I still need to learn a bit more about the spinning process before I'm going to feel comfortable dyeing fiber, because I really haven't done enough spinning to know what people want from dyed fiber. So I have a lot to learn still, but I'm pretty good at dyeing yarn. As a matter of fact, I spent all weekend dyeing yarn. I spent all day today dyeing yarn. I will spend tomorrow dyeing yarn. And the day after that, and the day after that. Pretty much dyeing yarn until the end of the week. So, how's everybody? Hope everybody's doing great. I'm going to get a sip of water. It's not water. It's Diet Coke. So, did everybody have a happy Valentine's Day? If you didn't, I don't care. I don't care. I don't like when people bum out other people's holidays. Unless it's like you need to do some kind of ritual where you sacrifice a virgin or kill a baby. Otherwise, let people enjoy whatever holiday they want. If it's a made-up holiday for greeting cards or whatever, just let people have their fun and deal with it. So I had a great Valentine's Day because my husband went to the post office for me. That is one of the greatest gifts a husband can give to a wife who has a small business and has a low tolerance for stupidity. Now, I go to the post office at least once a week with an international order. And yes, people are in fact still buying yarn from me, despite the fact that prices went up. People are gracious and understand, I guess, or they really want my yarn. But I go once a week to the post office, and every time I'm in line, I hope I don't get this woman. And every time I'm in line, I get this woman. So I get this woman every week. And every week, she stares at the papers. Because I fill out all of the customs forms before I get to the post office. I have really kind of, if you've ever gotten yarn from me, you've seen my handwriting. It's kind of all over the place. And for me to try to fill out a form with my handwriting is really terrible. So I print everything out ahead of time, sign it off, and take the sheet with me. And every single time she stares at it like she's never seen one before. Like this has never occurred before. Like I am the only person who has ever come into this post office. And mind you, there's not another post office around for at least 10 to 12 miles. So there are tons of people who have to be coming in to mail things, not to the United States. And there have to be other people who are printing out these customs forms ahead of time. I can't be the only person who figured it out. Can I? I don't think so. But every week she stares at it. And when she's staring at it, she says nothing. So I don't even know how to help her brain function. And it makes me insane because I'd love to just know which part of it is befuddling her. I would like to unfuddle her and get her on the right track. It literally is 10 minutes of silence when I walk up to when I walk up to the counter, because she doesn't say anything. She just stares and says nothing. She doesn't even turn to the person working at the next station thing. She says nothing. Nothing. She doesn't ask for help. She doesn't say what she's confused about. So, that is why I love my husband, and I'm so grateful for him for tolerating the BS that I do not enjoy. Um, so that was great. What else did he do? Oh, he took the dog to get groomed, and we had Indian food for dinner. If you're wondering what Indian food we had, well, I had chickpea salad and naan, because I love the carbs. If you're in Cincinnati and you're curious about where a good place to get Indian food is, there's actually a place across from, what is that called? Cincinnati Tech? Is that the college? It's on Ludlow, but it's not near everything else. It's called House Dushmish, and it's in a house. But they're always very friendly, and they recognize my husband whenever he comes in. Frankly, my husband is very noticeable as a person, so whenever he shows up anywhere, everybody recognizes him. But he's also friendly, very nice guy. But if you look at him for the first time, you'll be like, ooh, I better not mess with this dude. And then you figure him out, and you're like, oh, he's just a big old teddy bear. I got one of them guys. So that's nice. Look at these bangs. Oh, there's just nothing. No hope. No hope for me. Okay, so I had a great Valentine's Day. If you didn't, I'm sorry. If you don't like Valentine's Day, whatever. I've been dying my butt off. My wonderful boys came over this weekend, and they were a great help because they could lift the dye pots for me. I don't know how many of you have ever lifted a dye pot, but it's pretty much like picking up a 10-year-old boy. And then you have to dump all the water out and try not to spill it all over your floors. So with arthritic hands, it's usually a challenge. I mean, I pick up the kettlebell and stuff like that, and that's okay. But to carry just this giant pot of water across the room, oh, whoever set up the arrangements for my studio did it very convoluted. Anyway, oh, and then my husband also got me a very nice present, and I'll explain why in a second. It's the tops and the tails of butter nail polish. And it is special because he bought me something that he thinks is BS. He has no idea why I need it or why it's important, but he knew that I wanted it, and it was a price point where he was like, can't you get this for $1 at Target? No, this is special stuff. It's better. So that's like, another little sacrifice that he made for me. So that was very wonderful. Okay, so my kids came over this weekend. They helped me with the dye pots. As a family, we played Cards Against Humanity. My husband won, and the other three of us tied. But it was really fun. It was a good time. It was a great family game. So yeah, you kind of have to be a pretty twisted person in the first place to enjoy the game. And do you have to have pretty twisted relatives to be able to have people enjoy the game. We played for about an hour and a half and just laughed the whole time. It was a good time. So if you have kids that are, I would say 18 and older, try playing it sometime, maybe. Unless you're highly offended by things. And yes, there are some highly offensive things in that game. But, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Anyway, and each of the kids got one of the expansion decks for Christmas. We didn't even get those out. So we have so many more games to play. What else is going on? Hey, it's Black History Month. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center. It's located right here in Cincinnati, and it is based on the history of the Underground Railroad. I spoke to you last week about the Underground Railroad and how one line of my family tree actually was a stop in an Underground Railroad in Maryland. So the National Freedom Center, my husband also did some work for them. And the Dalai Lama came by, what was it? Gosh, 2 years ago? And praised his work. How's that? So, unless you're a corporation, you can't afford my husband's web design, web development. But okay, I'm just going to read it real quick. The Freedom Center opened on August 3rd, 2004. It seems like it's been open longer than that. It's located on the Ohio River in Cincinnati, and they actually have a slave pen where you can kind of smell and exist, and you'll never fully experience what those people had to experience, even if you saw the movie Django. And let me tell you, there were some serious things going on there. But if you're in the area and you've never been, you should definitely go. And for Nerd Wars, one of the things that they usually have for one of their challenges is to donate money somewhere. And so this Freedom Center is also a tribute to every effort to abolish human enslavement and secure freedom for all people. So I will be donating money to the Freedom Center. Also, if you're into genealogy and ancestry type things, they actually have all of that available for free for people to just come in and sit down and peruse through their information that they have. So if you're looking for a particular person who may have been a slave, they may have that information there for you. Pardon me. Sorry. So, if you come to Cincinnati and you're like, what's there doing in Cincinnati? Take the kids for a little history trip. And as I was explaining last week about trying to cross the Potomac, the Ohio River is much wider than the Potomac, but it's a lot more calm than the Potomac is. So coming from Kentucky over to Ohio was an easier trip, but it was something that still was definitely done in the dark of night. And so a lot of people from Kentucky came to Ohio. So, there's that. Alright, what else was I going to talk about? Oh, it's Girl Scout Quickie Time. Do you know a Girl Scout? Would you like to help a Girl Scout earn enough points to be able to go to a summer camp this summer? Let me know. Um, Girl Scout Cookies, if you have no idea, is a once a year sale that the Girl Scouts do, and it's to raise money for the troop itself to be able to do different activities. And if one of the girls raises a certain amount of money, then she will be able to go to different camps. I was a Girl Scout for a very long time. I was a brownie, I was a junior, I was a cadet, and then I kind of stopped. But one of my closest friends, her sister was the brownie troop leader for our brownie troop, and the way that I met one of my other best friends was during it was during a Girl Scout outing. We went to a smorgasbord. For those of you unfamiliar with that, it's like a buffet, old country buffet kind of thing. Except there were no old country buffets back then. It was just called a smorgasbord, which is I think it's an Amish word for feast. So we kind of had this girl had just moved into town and she was coming along on our outing, and she became one of my best friends because she sat on the other side of me while my other close friend sat on that side of me, and we had a food fight. Yeah, we were terrible Girl Scouts. But I I feel like I am a much more well-rounded person than a lot of people because of all the things that I got to experience as a Girl Scout. I can identify leaves, I can identify trees, I can look at a snake and tell if it's poisonous, I can bandage you up, I know how to stay calm in emergencies. Um, there's all kinds of things that you don't realize that are kind of important things to learn until you have your kids and you're like, why don't you know that yet? Um, on the other hand, I do not support the Boy Scouts at all. As a matter of fact, the leader of my children's Boy Scout troop was Lil from Survivor. You may remember Lil wearing her stupid Cub Den mother uniform on the island and being just a useless woman. Um, and before she was on that show, I knew that she was a useless woman because the first day of the Boy Scouts meeting, she wanted everybody to bring a cake dedicated to Y2K. Why? I don't know. But I'm brand new to Boy Scouts, and here I am bringing a cake for each kid that's got, I put spiders on it and then put Y2K, so it was a Y2K bug. But I brought two cakes, and then nobody even said thank you or, oh, this is great, this is cute. It was a great idea, and nobody thanked me. Um, but I walked in there. It was a total calamity. I was like, when are these kids going to learn how to tie knots? When are they going camping? Why did they have to have their mother bake a cake for them? It seemed just completely pointless. So I was like, kids, you don't have to do this anymore. Let's get you signed up for karate, basketball, football, wrestling, drums. Would you like a guitar? And so I'm sorry, I'm going to put my hair back in a ponytail because I cannot stand looking at my hair in the back. It's making me crazy. So anyway, support the Girl Scouts and help some girls get to go on some awesome things. Like, my sister got to do a 2-week camp of horseback riding. The little girl that I buy all of my Girl Scout cookies from, I've known her parents for a very long time. Ugh, what is happening? Because we played WoW together. And they would have her come on Vent, which is a communication system, and have her ask everybody just before a raid if we would buy Girl Scout cookies from her. It's like, of course. How could we not? And this poor girl, she has to go to school year round. So she doesn't even get to have like a whole summer. So during that little tiny break of summer that she has, she gets to go to Girl Scout camp. And last year she went to one called Splashdown. And she had a really great time. So I want to make sure that she gets to go every year until she doesn't want to be a Girl Scout anymore. And so, help some girls out. Help everybody. Okay, that's my little spiel for that. What else? Okay, have you been knitting snuggles? Yes? At least one? Come on, at least one. I mean, I'm still in the middle of my big old 36 by 36 one. But I did get my 14 by 14 done. And this is the yarn that's Lucky Ducky is going to get for participating. Just post in Sadie's group, Yarnivorous on Ravelry, with a picture of whatever you knit. And number 2, if you also post it in Katie, JetGirl1313, Knitting on the Flies group, you'll also have a chance to win any yarn that is in my shop. So, Heather, I'm very sorry that I'm not backing you. And I'm very sorry that you feel like you're the underdog. And Dawn, Knitting Wolf, I should have supported you. Ladies, next time there's some kind of competition coming up, you're on my list. This time is Katie's turn to win. Yes. Okay. And the other thing that I'm donating is Lem Knit Crochet is raising money in memorial for her friend Josh, who died of a rare disease called histiocytosis, and she's trying to raise $1,500. And when I last checked on Plurk, she said that they were very close to reaching that goal. But this runs until March 31st, so there's still plenty more that she'd be willing to take for donations. And if you donate an amount of money, then you are in the running to win prizes. And this is what I will be donating. As you can see, it sparkles. And this is Katniss. It's glitz yarn. So, there's that. Alright. Enabling. I have some crinkling. Because I am knitting the Ho Aloha sweater, I had to get some buttons. So, I got these buttons from Melissa Jean Designs, and I believe she's on Big Cartel. And these are shell. And I think this color was called Mushroom, but I just love the leaves on it. And here is my Ho Aloha so far. So this is supposed to be a spring green. This is my paws in the drink Irish green to me, but I think the buttons match very well. So, the second clue came out today, and I still have not separated for the sleeves, but I've got other obligations that I have to conquer before I can continue on a mystery knit along. So, that's for that. And then for Nerd Wars, I am working on these are plain vanilla socks. This is my yarn called Popular, and the colorway is called Party Girl. And as you can see, it's Mardi Gras colors: green, yellow, purple, but it's much more muted. And I'm naming these Donaghy on Bourbon Street because in Nerd Wars, everything has to tie back to your team in some way. And so for me, these are Mardi Gras colors, and the way that it ties back into my team is there's a quote from 30 Rock from Jack Donaghy where he's complaining about his daughter. And he says, "She's the only other person who's thrown up on me, and I haven't spoken to Joe Namath since Bourbon Street." So I'll probably finish this one tonight. And then, whew, I think that's it. I think that's everything that I was going to talk about. Oh, okay. If you don't like to hear gross out stories, then you can just turn it off right here. But I thought of including a little segment called Grossest Thing I Read on the Internet Today. So, crinkle in the bag. So, here's the grossest thing I read on the internet today. There was a discussion somewhere about what other women use to make cloth menstruation pads. And somebody said they use their kids' old t-shirts. What? That is disgusting. That grosses me out so bad. But now, let me tell you the grossest story I've heard so far all year. And I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say where it happened. I'm not going to say when it happened. But I know that there's at least one viewer of mine who probably knows the deets. So, there was a knitting retreat. And you know how knitting retreats are supposed to be very mild-mannered. That's not how this one turned out. There was also a man in attendance at this retreat, and during the retreat, he didn't participate quite as much in all of the knitting festivities as you would think somebody would who signed up for a knitting retreat. As it turns out, he was doing a lot of drugs and hiring male prostitutes to come to his room. So he was on his own special kind of retreat. And then, as he was leaving town, he decided to stop at another prostitute's house and have sex one more time with a stranger for money. And when he did that, he had a heart attack and he literally died on the bed. But the prostitute knew CPR. The prostitute knew CPR and brought him back to life and got him in an ambulance and on the way to the hospital. Is that not the craziest thing? It isn't. The prostitute is now like suing this guy to get money for a new mattress because when the guy died and had a heart attack on the prostitute's bed, He crapped all over the bed. That is disgusting and hilarious. And oh my gosh. A doctor is quoted as saying he's a mess. So anyway, I hope you all have a great week, and I hope I'm gonna have a great week. I'm getting pooped out doing my dyeing. I can't even tell you why I'm dyeing. Oh, that's right. I also wanted to thank my test pattern knitters. They all met my deadline. They all did wonderful jobs knitting my pattern, and they all took amazing pictures. And I'm not even going to be releasing this pattern for a while for reasons, but I'll get into more of those details next week. So I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye. 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 Don't poop your bed. Bye-bye.